And I have to tell you, this is like take 4. I keep having things buzz or go off and distract my video. So this is take 4 of Webex. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is the Webex system. And that was put out so that you have the capability to meet with students and use a program to actually meet with students and talk with students. So the reason that we're using Webex and not Google Meets or Zoom is it is a more highly rated uh, program for security. It's the one that speech pathologists use for teleconferencing. I believe it's HIPAA compliant. It gives you a little bit more control as a host for privacy and stuff that the other programs do not have built in at the moment. So that is what we're going to be talking about is WebEx. So you'll notice on my screen that I'm up here, this is the web portal for LankSD and WebEx. And if you go to that website, you will get this right here where you can join a meeting or sign in. Again, the website is lanksd.webex.com. It's not currently on your class link. That'll probably be pushed out shortly. It is something that you could just type in and go. It's something you can add to your own class link if you want to do that, because this is a web address. So here's the website, lanksd.webex.com, and you'll notice it says sign in. If you have linked your Google account, which you'll do when the first time you go in, you can sign in with Google just like that. It'll take you in. And then the next time you come back, it'll say sign in with Google. So let me sign out here real quick. And you'll notice on their page, it's now says sign in with Google. I can just click. WebEx is how you're going to sign in probably the first time because you might not be linked up to your Google account yet. So we're going to put in zonim@lancsd.org and say next. And the password that I created the first time that I came in, it's going to ask you to do a password. Okay. And here is the WebEx web portal. Now, there's 2 different programs that you can use with WebEx. Okay. Actually, there's 3, and that's going to be like another part down the line. But there's the web portal that you're looking at right now. This is just online. You can access it from any computer. There's also a desktop app that you can download to a PC. I believe there's an Apple version of it and some form of Chrome. I'd have to test it on a Chromebook to know for sure. It might just be limited to the web app on the Chrome. Okay. So this is the web app and what you see. Up here, you'll notice that I can download the Meetings app. Okay. And the desktop app is I've already downloaded. I'll talk more about that. But first thing you want to do is go to Preferences. And the preferences are kind of like all your settings. So you want to set up your settings. So you'll notice that I linked my Google account. Yours may or may not be connected. If it's connected, you're good to go. If it's not, you want to make sure that's connected, then you can sign in with Google. You want to make sure your time zone is set for Pacific time. If you set it for a different time zone and then you add something to your calendar, it's going to mess that up later on. So you want to make sure that that is set up, what language you want, United States. Then you got to set up your personal room. Here's my personal room. You'll notice I had to give it a room link, lanksd.webex.com/meet/zonim. That's what shows up on the invite to a meeting. You have to give it a host pin. Okay. Keep it easy. Do 4 digits and make it simple. Just a 4-digit pin. Must be exactly 4 digits. Says can't contain sequential digits, so it's got to be something that repeats. But there's another place for a pin, and I'm going to tell you just use the same one. I, of course, am now going to have to go change mine since I made a video with my host pin in there. I'm going to have to go change that. Notify me by email when someone enters my personal lobby while I'm away. The reason that I have that checked is that let's say that I set up a meeting with parents or kids and I tell them 10 o'clock and I'm waiting and it's 10:05 and that parent and kids have not shown up and no one's there yet. I can run out, bring my phone with me, and if they pop in, it's going to send me an email. And then I know, okay, I got to come back. Someone's there now. So that's kind of a cool feature. You can also set this one up. It's an automatic lock. So you could say after 10 minutes of being in a meeting, my room will be locked and they can't enter unless I admit them. You can do that from within the meeting. You can lock the meeting at any point, but you can set it up ahead of time to automatically do that. Okay, so that's kind of your preference right there. At what point you automatically want to lock that meeting and have to admit people in. Let others host your personal room meetings. I would not set that at this point. It might be something you could do later if you have a specific reason to do that. Audio and video settings are here. Okay. It also lets you put in call me numbers if you want people to know your phone number to get a hold of you. You put in your Google Voice number or whatever phone number you want them to contact you at. This is your audio pin. Again, I use the same one, and that's just so that makes it easier for you to have that. And then if you have a video system, you can do that. You can save at any point. Scheduling, what type of meeting types, you want to probably just leave it as the pro meeting since that's the highest level, makes it easy. Whether or not to send a copy of the email invitation to you through email, okay? You can set it up so it kicks you an email whenever you do a meeting and then it's in your email address. Automatically share the recording when it's available. And that's if you're going to record. Again, recording meetings is kind of an iffy procedure, especially without participants' knowledge and permission. So I would not put anything there. Scheduling permissions lets someone else have permissions to schedule your meetings. So if you're working with someone that wants to come in and schedule your meetings for you, you can give them permission for that. And here's about recording. There's some interesting features in the recording. Again, I'm not going to recommend recording at this point. It might be something later on that we say, hey, record this. But video thumbnails view, that's going to show a video thumbnail of what's going on with shared content or no shared content. So if I select this, I could say with shared content. Active speaker view, that's only going to show the active speaker. The one that I like down here is content only view. No participant is recorded. So that enables you, if you're doing a slideshow, to record that slideshow presentation with no participants showing up. And that you can use that again. So I like that one there. And you can save your selections there. Again, recording is something that I'm not going to recommend at this point, and I don't think anyone will at this point, and we would discuss that later if that changed. You have download options. I talked about the desktop app. There's a desktop app you can download for a PC. The desktop app has some different features. So at some point, I'm going to talk about that app. They also have something called Webex Teams, and that will be a whole different training if we get into using that. Okay. On the Home tab right here, it'll show you any incoming or upcoming meetings that are scheduled. So it'll show you those upcoming meetings. You can start an immediate meeting, and it gives you the choice of using the web app or your desktop app if you have it downloaded. Okay. The desktop app, like I said, has some different features than the web app. I'm going to stick with web app here for a minute. You can schedule a meeting. So you can come in here and say, I want to schedule a meeting. What type of meeting? It gives you a password. You do have to put a topic in. That's required. So I'm going to say this is my test meeting. You can choose a date and time. So I'm going to say I need this for Saturday at 3:15 p.m. for 1 hour. I'm going to say done. Whether or not it recurs, and again, Pacific time, that should be set up if you're using Pacific time as your standard. Attendees, I can invite attendees with an email address, just like that. You can put in as many attendees as you want. You can also then just send the link out. So you don't have to type in everybody's email address. But with parents with different emails, you might want to do that. But you can copy the link once it's created and send it out that way. There are some advanced options with audio connections. You can put in an agenda that people see, a meeting agenda, okay? And some scheduling options that show up if you wanted to get into scheduling options, okay? One of the ones that I kind of like was excluding password from the email invitation. That means that if I send it out through email and you've got that link, you don't need the password to get in, okay? Because the passwords are kind of they have a weird password thing there that shows up. So an email reminder, whether or not you want that to come, meeting options and attendee privileges are also here. So I can get into the meeting options, and the attendee privileges are pretty important. This is someone coming into the meeting. What do they have the option to do? They have the option to save, print, or annotate. Okay. Do they have the option of viewing all the participants? You can turn that off if you don't want them to. Whether or not they want to view thumbnails, you can turn that on or off. Whether or not they have control of stuff, whether or not they can control stuff. So if I'm dealing with kids, I'm definitely turning that off. whether or not they can view any document or view any page. And there's some things with private chat. Can they private chat with the host, the presenter, or other participants? So you can turn off the other participants so kids can't private chat with each other. Okay, they can only send you a message. So that's up to you. You can turn off private chat completely or say only with the host and presenter and not other participants. And you say okay. And that sets up those options. In the meeting options, it lets you know, do you want them to have the ability to chat? Do you want them to have the option to take notes? Okay. If I'm dealing with kids, I want them to be able to take notes. The option to transfer a file, those kind of things in the meeting or not. Okay. And again, up there, you'll notice in the meeting options, I could have turned off chat for everybody that they don't even see a chat option. I like the option to at least chat with the host and the presenter. If it's with teachers, you probably want them to have that chat option. So it kind of gives a thing. Now, my understanding, and I haven't been able to test this yet, but my understanding with this program is you can do a transcript of chats, and I believe it will show the private chats, but it eliminates the option of the private chats with kids and them sending inappropriate message by just turning it off. Okay. And then you just click schedule and the meeting is scheduled. Okay. So now I have this meeting scheduled right here. It's got a meeting link, which I can copy the meeting link up here. I can edit this whole thing. I can delete it if I decide not to do it. And I can add it to my calendar. If I click that, it's going to give me an ICS file, but I have to go to my Google Calendar and import it. Okay, so that would be one, but it would then show up on your Google Calendar. You can go to your Google Calendar, you can import the ICS file, and it will show up for that date and time with the link and everything you need. So that is your copy to calendar option or add to my calendar. You then have to go to Google Calendar and add it in. So now I'm going to go back to my home page here for a minute. Okay, I've got the two scheduled meetings, the one I set up and the other one I had set up previously. I can click start when I'm ready to start that meeting right here on the web app. I can start a meeting at any time. So I'm going to start a meeting and show you what happens. So I'm just going to start a meeting. Okay, it's going to now open up into my personal room. I'm there for a meeting. It's going to let me unmute myself or mute myself, turn on or off the video, and start my meeting whenever I'm ready. Okay, so now I'm in a meeting mode. I'm here. If I had participants, there's a little chat thing right here where I could see who's there, the participants, and chat with people and send chat to all. There's no private message because I have that disabled. Participants, going to show you the list of participants right there. Okay, recording, and it does show if a meeting's being recording. So if you hit that, it does show up for people. And again, I'm leery of recording any meeting due to privacy requirements without their consent ahead of time. Then I have a share content option. On the web app, I can share my screen, the entire screen, an application window or Chrome tab, or I can share an application. Okay, now, on the web app, you're really limited to things that are on the internet, okay, as far as sharing. On the desktop app, you do get some other options, things that you can share that are not available on the web app. And that would be the purpose of using the desktop app over the web app, is the things that you can share. Okay, so I've got that there. I'm going to share out my entire screen, share, and now I'm actually sharing a screen out to people. Okay. You'll notice on the three dot menu over here, I have the option to lock a meeting. When I lock a meeting, that basically will prevent people from joining the meeting without me admitting them in. Okay, so after 10 minutes or 15 minutes of running, I can come in and say lock that meeting. Remember, in the settings, I could have done that automatically, and after 10, 15 minutes, it's locked. I can unlock a meeting right there. Participant settings show up right here. I can mute them on entry. That's a really nice feature because they come in muted and you don't have to worry about someone struggling to find the mute button or whatever. It just sets them up muted on entry. The health checker checks your system, makes sure everything's ready to go. speaker, microphone, camera, test everything. And then I have the switch to desktop app, okay? So I'm gonna end this one because I wanna show you the desktop app and how it looks. So I'm just gonna end this meeting here for a second. And that one up. And it's going to bring me back to my home page. And I'm going to start a meeting using a desktop app. And you can switch in the middle of it. It enables you to switch, but I don't think it's from my one or two tests. I had some weird things happen, so I was a little worried about that transition. So I'd probably either start it with a desktop app or start it with the web app and stick with it until I learn a little bit more about that. It's something you can play with on your own if you want. I had some weird screen things happen that kind of I need to test it out a little bit more to see how it works. So I'm opening the Webex desktop app now that I've downloaded to my computer. Okay, and that's going to give me some other options. I'm going to start a meeting. Okay, now in this case, since I'm running Screencastify, it's not going to let me use my camera. It's going to say it can't find the camera because it's being used by someone. But you can mute and unmute yourself. Here's the camera. It's not going to work because I'm using Screencastify at the moment. Record button, those are all the same. Everything over here, your lock meeting, invite, okay, copy, audio connection, all that's the same. I can turn on closed captions over here, okay, where you can enter notes and have closed caption things that pop up. That's an option that is available. I can also do polling. That enables you to ask a question, and notes right here where someone can take notes. That's what shows up for the kids with the note option as well. Okay. Now, on the sharing option, this is where I get a whole bunch of different options that I didn't have originally. You'll notice that I have more things to share because now it knows it's a PC, not just web-based. So I can now share movies and TV, other applications, a whiteboard. A whiteboard will let me take notes and share them out, annotate, do different things. So you have that feature that becomes available on my screen. Google Chrome, everything there. The most important thing with this is that I can change a couple settings for my shared content. Right up here, I'm optimized for text and images. If I'm going to just present a whiteboard in a Google Slides or something like that, I want to be optimized for text and images. Right here, though, is optimized for motion and video. If I'm going to share a YouTube video, I probably want to turn that on. That's going to make the video use my audio going out to participants. If you tried to run a video in Google Meets, you notice that it didn't play through. The sound did not play through. This will enable that sound to play through to everybody. So it gives you the opportunity to play a video that you've pre-recorded, things like that, and have the audio come out straight to the kids. It might not be the cleanest image or text at that point. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. Anytime you share, you can change those settings. So let's say I'm sharing a video. I can come in, share it out, close it up, reshare, and change it next time to text and images. So it kind of depends on what you're sharing, okay? And again, you'll notice that I have a lot more options here with the desktop app than I did before. Okay, now, one of the things that, one of the options that you will have with participants, and this is kind of important. So I have no participants in my meeting right now. If I did, I'd have a lot more options here. So right here, mute me. That's the same thing as hitting your speaker button. I can also mute all right here. So if I want to mute everybody so they have to stop talking, it's right there. Unmute all turns everybody on. Mute on entry is all set up right here. Whether or not I want anyone to share, I'm going to turn that off so people don't all share. And then I can assign privileges. So whether or not participants can chat with other participants. Remember, I had turned that off for the one I scheduled, but this was one I just started, so I can come in here and turn that off. Whether they can share publicly with everybody or whether they can share with just me. I can uncheck all, check all, and set that up. and then participant options, whether or not I want them to be able to print, save, annotate, whether or not I want them to see certain things, and whether or not they can control things or record meetings. So this right here prevents them from recording a meeting, whether or not I want them to share a document. Um, so all of those different options are set up in here for participants, and then you can come in and change it and apply it. So that's important to set up at any point when you're running a meeting, is make sure that everything is set up. Okay, that's assign privileges. The other thing you'll notice down here is I have a change role. So let's say that I'm going to have a kid present. I can change role and make them a presenter at any point, and then they can actually present. Okay. And then I can reclaim the host role. I can expel someone. So let's say someone is doing something totally inappropriate. I can actually expel them out of the class and then call parents and talk to them, or deal with them on the side. So I can expel a participant right here. That's an important feature. You can come in and expel someone from that meeting. Okay. Now, at the end of your meeting, you want to end your meeting. So I'm going to end my meeting. If I had participants, it's going to say, do I want to end the meeting for everybody? So one of the things, if you've done Google Meets, you know, when we end a Google Meet, if you stay in, you get to stay in the room and chat. We don't want kids to have that capability necessarily. So I can come in here and I can end that meeting. And with participants, it gives me the option, so that students will be, when I end the meeting, it ends the meeting for everybody. Okay, I don't have any participants in here, so you don't see that. So I'm just going to say end the meeting, and then it cancels out. So that's a little bit about WebEx, kind of how it works, what you can do with it. This again is kind of just the basics to get these features out there for you, get you started on this, get you a little bit comfortable with it, and so you can go in and set up your preferences and start messing around with it and learning it. There is some other features, some other things that we might get into later, especially if the demand comes where we have to use it as a more teaching tool and stuff. So that's something that would be like a part two. So hopefully that helps you out. You've learned something about WebEx, and it's something that you are interested in using.